This is the YouTube channel for Open Doors Metropolitan Community Church in Seoul, Korea. Welcome. We're a community seeking to live out the radically inclusive love of Jesus Christ. We're affiliated with the Progressive Christian Alliance and Metropolitan Community Churches. Please join us now in listening to excerpts from the service held on Sunday, August 23, 2015, the 13th Sunday after Pentecost. The theme of the service is a spiritual exercise, Writing Your Spiritual Biography, Part 1. And this exercise is led by the Reverend Daniel Payne. If you're interested in the litany and the affirmation of hope we used in this service, we've included links to them on this page, so please feel free to link to them.
Join with me in the Beatitudes for Justice Builders, again reading the eloquence. Blessed are you who can question your own assumptions and listen with an open mind.
We will receive new insights beyond our imagining.
Blessed are you who suffer the attacks of others to stand up for what is right.
We will not be alone, for our courage will inspire others to rise.
Blessed are you who build friendships as well as justice, even when you lose an issue.
We will have strengthened the foundation of our community.
Blessed are you who take delight in people.
We will not be bored in meetings.
Blessed are you who agitate the placid waters of complacency.
We will create waves in the inertia of privilege, and we will know the thrill of riding the surf of change.
Blessed are you who lead with enthusiasm and confidence, resisting the temptation to shame the apathetic or self-absorbed.
We will inspire curiosity and hope in others.
Blessed are you who play as well as work.
We will have more fun, build more energy, and will draw the powers of the impish to our cause.
Blessed are you who ask for help in your role as leaders.
We will find teachers at every turn, and our hope work will remain interesting and alive.
Blessed are you who, when wrongfully attacked, find safe outlets for your righteous rage.
Our mind will be clear, our decisions strategic, and our progress will not be derailed by the backlash of the fearful.
Blessed are you who do not demonize your opponents.
Our eyes and our hearts will be open.
Blessed are you who sing and dance.
We will find energy and joy to lift us on our journey.
Blessed are you who offer thanks and praise fivefold for every critique.
Our children will want to visit after they're grown. People will want to serve on our committees, and our friends will be interested in our opinions.
Blessed are you who study the rhythms of history.
We will have knowledge with which to shape the future.
Blessed are you who work in coalition rather than in principled isolation.
We will meet great people, learn things we didn't realize we needed to know, and have partners for the journey when we are in the lead or in need.
Blessed are you who volunteer to be secretary and take good minutes.
Amen. Our words will become history, and our efforts will steadily forward, rather than running absent-mindedly over thoroughly discussed ground.
Blessed are you who discover, train, and encourage young leaders.
We will see you
expand and grow beyond our own time and talent. Blessed are you who can change your mind.
We are still alive.
Blessed are you who will not let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
We will see progress in our lifetime.
Blessed are you with an active spiritual life.
We will find perspective and comfort in times of loss and betrayal, and will rise without cynicism to meet the challenges of a new day.
Blessed are you who live from a place of gratitude.
For we will know the meaning of life.
Join with me in our affirmation of hope. We,
Bearers of the dream, affirm that a new vision of hope is emerging. We pledge to work for that community in which justice will be actively present. We affirm that there is struggle yet ahead, yet we know that in the struggle is the hope for the future. We affirm that we are co-creators of the future, not just its ones, and we stand united in affirmation of our hope and vision of a just and inclusive society. We affirm the unity of all persons, the brotherhood and sisterhood that allows us to touch on each other's humanity. We affirm a unity that opens our eyes, ears, and hearts to see the different but common forms of oppression, suffering, and pain. Yet we are one in the image of God, and we celebrate our hopes for human unity. Within ourselves and within the gathered community, we will discover the strength not to hide in indifference. Affirming that hope, publicly expressed, energizes and enables us to move forward. Together we pledge action to transcend barriers, be they racial, political, economic, social, or religious. We pledge to make our tomorrows become our todays.
The material that I got for today's writing our spiritual biographies, the worksheet, is from the book Building Your Own Theology. It's also from the Unitarian Universalist Association. It's the first session in that workbook. So we'll be using that today. Before I give you that worksheet and we start thinking about our spiritual biographies, I just want to give you a little bit of information about how I developed my own spiritual worldview, I guess you could call it. There are really three parts that I think about when I develop my spiritual worldview. And the first is what I call ultimate reality. God, nature, creativity, being, the cosmos, whatever you want to call it. That ultimate reality is the first thing I think about. And when I think about the values that are related to that ultimate reality, some of those values are things like awe, mystery, wonder, reverence, gratitude, celebration of life, a lot of the things that we sang about in the songs this morning. And after the ultimate reality, I think about the self, human nature, human history, the self within community, so the humanness of reality. And when I think about that part of my spiritual worldview, I think about social ethics, other people, group dynamics, ecology and the earth, things like that. So whatever I think about ultimate reality ties into what I think about self and community and the physical world. And then after that, ultimate reality, the self, that's how meaning is developed. After I think about those two things, then I develop meaning. Some of the values related to that would be a sense of justification or wholeness or salvation in Christian terms, a sense of purpose. What does life and the world mean to me? So when I was thinking about writing my own spiritual autobiography, I thought in terms of those three levels: ultimate reality, human reality, and then meaning from those two things. One thing I think that's important when we are developing our spiritual autobiographies or thinking about our spiritual worldview, two things. The fact that we are meaning makers, we all make meaning, and we are all theologians. Each one of us, even if we didn't go to divinity school, is a theologian. So what does it mean to say that we are meaning makers? The big questions are why and so what. These are the big human questions that constantly haunt us. While there are many ways of exploring human meaning, Viktor Frankl's model in Man's Search for Meaning is instructive. Has anyone read Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl?
Heard of it.
Know about it, heard about it. It's a really good, small book. I would encourage you to read it if you haven't. He suggests in that book three sources for finding meaning. First, the intrinsic worth of human experiences of love and beauty. And that's the first way to find meaning. The second, serving a cause greater than oneself. whether by raising a family, creating a work of art, committing oneself to great social causes. That's the second thing. And the third thing is discovering meaning in human suffering, finding significance in the hurt and the pain of human life, both physical and spiritual. So the intrinsic worth of human experience of love and beauty, finding a cause or meaning in a cause greater than oneself, and finding meaning in human suffering, physical and spiritual. Now, theologians have argued forever that we are justified or saved by faith, by works, or by character. And there's an important question. What justifies our existence in the short years that are allotted to us? How do we justify being here for 70 or 80 years? What is the purpose of humankind? What is our purpose? Do we really want to be saved? If not in the traditional sense, then in the original sense of the word, finding health and finding wholeness. And we are also theologians. We are meaning makers and we are theologians. As theologians, we are the measurers of all things theological. This is something different than what you'll hear in traditional churches. In traditional churches, the measure of all things theological is usually found in a book, or if not in a book, solely in the person standing at the podium, the pastor. Not so in this church. You are the measurers of all things theological in this church. By our very nature, all of us are the ultimate seat of authority in religion. Think about the story of Abraham and Isaac in the Hebrew Scriptures. Abraham was commanded to take Isaac into the wilderness and sacrifice him on top of the mountain. At the last moment, a voice intervened and ordered Abraham to stop his hand with the knife in it. Now, how did Abraham know if the voice was that of Yahweh or of Moloch, the god of death, in taking his son up to the mountain to sacrifice him? How did Abraham know this? He wasn't seeing who was speaking. He heard a voice. To make that decision, Abraham had to decide the source of the command. Only he could make that decision. So even in the Scriptures, I think we see that humans are the source of theological authority. We can only make that decision ourselves. We are the meaning makers. We are co-creators of meaning, of values, of convictions. We live in a community of co-creators. That's very important. We shouldn't just do this by ourselves. It's very important to do it in community. The creation of a progressive theology needs to address these basic religious questions. They are developmental questions along the span of an entire lifetime. And questions of human nature, questions of the nature of ultimate reality, of our role in history and evolution, of our ethical behaviors, and the meanings we create for our lives. I'm very thankful to be in a community that values those kinds of things. In the book Parish Parables by Clinton Lee Scott, he tells this little story, and I'll read it to you. There was a certain man that for many years did frequent the temple on the Sabbath day. Then did he cease to be found in the great congregation. And a neighbor inquired of him, saying, How is it that thou art no more seen in the temple on the Sabbath day? And the man gave this answer, I like not the words that the Master speaks. For he putteth not an end to the questions that vex my mind, neither provides me with a sure salvation for my soul. Verily he leads us into deep waters, and leaves us there without any means of rescue. Now when this conversation was told to the master of the temple, the master answered, saying, Go tell him that stays away from the great congregation, that the temple standeth not to provide life preservers, but is a place wherein one learns how to swim. And I think that is what, to me anyway, this congregation is. It's not a place where you're going to hear absolute answers from up here, but it's where we're going to learn how to swim together. So today we will start work on our spiritual autobiography. I'll give you this worksheet, and after I give it to you, I'll explain a little bit about it.
Masco pens, hey?
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, so some guidelines for writing our spiritual biography. Your religious life story is your own. No one can tell you how to present it. Because narrative is such a central part of the religious quest, here are some guidelines that might help you tell your own spiritual autobiography. While it's possible to share your story from notes, the greatest benefit will come if you write it in full. So there's 5 steps you can see that we'll take starting today, and you're going to have homework. Okay. So throughout this week, you'll continue developing this, and next week we'll share together. First, you'll start with a timeline. So you'll draw a horizontal line on the back of this piece of paper is fine. At the left margin, make a dot, draw the date of your birth. At the right margin, make another dot, write the date you expect to die. A reasonable estimate. For smokers, sooner than others probably. Along the line, make a third dot and write today's date. And then just simply say how you feel about this under that line. That's the first step. The second step, life functions in space. So identify the places in which significant things have happened to you on this timeline. We might call this process mapping the spirit. Now, the third step, all life is meeting others. So you'll decide who are the 3 or 4 people who have had the greatest impact on your life and why they've had that impact. And the fourth step, experiences shape our religious faith. So you'll think about 2 or 3 formative experiences in your life. Why are they important to you? Some of these experiences we choose to call religious, but they don't have to be specifically religious. And the last step, we live in communities. So which communities, religious or not, have had a lasting influence on your development? And so these are 5 steps to get you thinking about your spiritual autobiography. We'll only do these 5 steps today. Your homework will be to flesh it out, and next week we'll share.
As you can see and hear, we're open to a variety of perspectives from many different spiritual sources. If you're a spiritual seeker of any type, you're welcome to join us in our worship and our ministry. We worship at 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings in the Haebangchon district in Seoul. For more information about us, our location, and our ministry activities, please check out our website at www.opendooreskorea, that's all one word, .org. We hope to see you soon.